like to call to order the Chicago Common Council's regular meeting scheduled on Monday, January 27th, 2020, 6 p.m. If everybody could stand for Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, roll call.
First District Councilwoman Monica Gonzalez. Here. Second District Councilman Lenny Francisci.
Present.
Third District Councilman Terrence Hill.
Here.
Fourth District Councilwoman Stacy Winfield.
Present.
Sixth District Councilwoman Gilda Orange.
Present.
Councilman at Large Dwayne Ransford.
Present.
Councilman at Large Emiliano Perez.
Present.
Councilman at Large Kenneth Monroe. Council President Robert Garcia.
Present. Clerk, for the record, can you state that Councilman Monroe called me? He's feeling under the weather. Clerk, any minutes of the meeting?
Yes. Regular minutes, November 25th, 2019.
Is there a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
Is it moved? Is there a second?
Second.
Is that first and a second? Any questions? Hearing no questions, roll call.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Francisci.
Yes.
Hill.
Abstain. I wasn't at this meeting.
Winfield.
Abstain, everything but January 13th.
Same.
Orange.
Yes.
Rancifer.
Abstain.
Perez.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Regular minutes, December 9th, 2019.
There's a motion to hear.
So moved.
Second.
Is it first and second? Any questions?
I have a question.
Councilwoman Orange?
It's for our attorney. The new council people weren't at this meeting, so it won't pass with just 4 of us. Are they able to vote on these minutes?
I believe it's at the discretion of the council member whether they vote to approve the minutes or not. Are you showing the roll call on the previously called minutes November 25th as passing 5-3?
Right.
6-2?
Okay.
5-3. So the previous minutes of November 25th have been adopted. We're now on December 9th. It's at the council. It's at the discretion of the council
Okay.
whether they vote or abstain. The issue here is simply approval of a record in the city. So there's no compelling reason that a council member should abstain. But should they choose to abstain, that is in their sound discretion.
Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Francisci.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Winfield.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Rancifer.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Regular minutes, December 23rd, 2019.
So moved.
Is it first? Is there a second? Second. Any questions on these minutes? Seeing no questions, roll call.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Francisci.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Winfield.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Rancifer.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes. Clerk, any communications from the mayor?
Got one more.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Regular minutes, January 13, 2020.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there first? Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Francisci.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Winfield.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Rancifer.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes. Any communications from the mayor?
No.
Any communications from department heads?
Yes. Accounts payable warrant 0116 CC.
Is there a motion on the floor to pass this accounts payable warrant?
So moved.
First, is there a second?
Second.
This is the first and second. Any questions? Hearing no questions, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Garcia.
No.
Accounts payable warrant 123119 CC.
So moved.
This is the first, is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on the motion? No questions, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes. Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Garcia.
No.
Accounts payable warrant 123119 CB.
This is the first, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second, first and second. Any questions on the motion? No question on the motion, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Garcia.
No.
Accounts payable warrant 012720 CC.
This is the first, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any questions on the motion? No questions on the motion, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
No.
Winfield,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Garcia.
No.
Payroll warrant biweekly 012420.
Is there a
So
motion?
move.
Is it first, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing no questions on the motion, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes. Next thing on agenda is committee reports. I handed out to everybody the list of committee. The Education Committee would be Stacy Winfield, Kenny Monroe, Lenny Franciski. The Environmental Committee will be Gilda Orange, Terry Hill, Stacy Winfield. Finance Committee would be Elimanio Perez, Dwayne Rancifer, and Monica Gonzalez. Public Safety would be Lenny Franciski, Elimanio Perez, and Terry Hill. So since we don't have too much input from the police merit and the fire department civil service boards, I combine them with the public safety. Tax abatement would be Dwayne Ransford, Kim Monroe, and Gilda Orange. House rules would be Monica Gonzalez, Emiliano Perez, and Dwayne Ransford. Going on to the next thing would be board reports
Board appointments,
or appointments.
redevelopment,
Councilwoman Orange.
I will make a motion that the two people that turn their applications in on time be the ones that are appointed to the redevelopment board.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any questions on the motion? Yes, Councilwoman Orange.
Make a statement because I don't want anybody to think.
Yes, ma'am.
There was a discrepancy on when people put their resumes in. We did put it in the paper for the board appointments, and we had a date deadline. And if you put it in after that, it shouldn't have been accepted. So when it was accepted by, I think the clerk's office accepted it, it shouldn't have been accepted after that date. And so the people that did do it on time, it was only 4 people in total. So those 2 people that did put it in time would be the 2 appointees to the redevelopment board.
Councilman Perez.
I have a question for Mr. Buscemi. I don't disagree with Councilwoman Orange, but just for clarification, Can we not decide as a council to vote for someone who didn't apply? I mean, is there some house rules or some rule that says they must apply, and that's the pool we choose from? In this case, there were two incumbents, and the people already know the work they did. We could have just chosen those incumbents. I'm not saying that that's what we should do, I'm just saying, is it that we have to choose from the people that filed by the deadline, or are we free to choose those that come in later, if we so choose?
The method by which you decide which citizens you will appoint to the boards and commissions is at your absolute discretion. You can set up procedures, that's fine, whatever those procedures might be, but ultimately, the appointments are made by the council as a voting body and are at your discretion, and you're not bound by any particular set of rules or customs or practice. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? Yes.
I just think if the deadline is there, you know, then if it's already set in there for a deadline, I mean, that's what it should be, then why don't we have the deadline then? So, I mean, I'm saying, deadline's there, let's use the deadline, that's what it's for.
Councilwoman.
I don't disagree,
Excuse me.
Counsel. I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
I agree. There was something posted, there was something on Facebook stating the deadline, and the deadline was December 2nd at noon. And I'm looking at the applications or the paperwork that they turned in, and one was the 11th and one was the 19th. I think we would set a bad precedent if we do anything other than what we stated on the paper.
Council Perez.
Councilman Francisci, I don't disagree with you. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, is that a rule that this council has collectively agreed to, or is it, that's all I'm trying to figure out, is how did we come up with the rule that there was a deadline? I've been on the council for 2 years now. No, I never have been consulted about what deadline I would want to set or anything like that. I had absolutely zero part in setting any type of criteria for board appointments. So I'm just trying to get clarity as to whether or not I am subjected to vote for those two. Every council member on this council can vote for whatever they think is right.
Well, we know that.
Right.
We know that.
So, but that doesn't mean that I have to be limited to those two.
Councilman Hill.
I agree with Councilman Orange. It clearly states even expiring board members must reapply. Now, if they were not aware of when their board appointment was going to end and the time for them to reapply, that means they weren't paying attention to the information that was provided by the city. So I think it's only fair in the employment I've always had, if you turn in some after the deadline, I just can't accept it. And I've been a job developer for many years, and anybody turn their resume in after a company asks for the deadline, I can't accept it. So with that being said, it was clearly on here. If they missed the mark, I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Orange.
And I was going to tell Councilman Perez, I don't know if any of the board appointments have come up within your 2-year tenure, but when this first started, the president was able to appoint all boards. That's the way it was at first. And then we thought that was unfair, and about 4 years ago, we did decide that it'd be better if all citizens got a chance to apply for the boards. Not just people that maybe the president liked or somebody on the board, they all would get a chance to apply. And they would send in a resume and say why they wanted to be on that board, what type of experience they had, and that's the way we have done it. And that was the setup, because we didn't feel like one person should be able to appoint whatever boards there was. And so that was the setup for us in the past, and that's what we kept with. And that way it's fair to everybody. Everybody has a vote if you want that person or not want the person, or people that have wanted to sit on boards for years, never got picked, they were able to apply for these boards. Some people never have ever sat on the board, and they got a chance to apply. So I think it's a fair system. And if we need Attorney Buscemi to rewrite that up, but I just think you can't go back this is the way we had set it up 4 years ago, for people to get a chance to. And now, if you want to change it, I think it's a rules committee, and then I think it would have to go through that committee.
Councilwoman Winfield?
Mr. President, if this deadline was December 2nd, you normally fill your boards, if I'm not correct, at the end of the year. Our boards is over at the end of the year, the 31st of December. Why wasn't they voted on before we got on? Instead, we're coming into the new board. Is that what you, okay?
Yeah, we were trying to give you guys a chance as new council, members, to pick, so then you wouldn't, at least give you a fair shake of who you wanted for the board to replace.
And I believe,
What?
thank you, Mr. President.
Yes.
And I believe that's why, Councilman, you actually brought up that we needed to have a meeting to meet about the redevelopment board so that we know what it consists of. Because we were coming on fresh, voting on a board that we didn't have any knowledge of what. So, I believe when it comes to a new council and you're starting with a new board that you're gonna vote on, it should be some type of, like we went into, discussion about it with that department head concerning what the board consists of. That should happen instead of having us come right in voting on a board and we had no knowledge, because you have 4 new council members that actually just received a packet, and this is what we vote on.
Councilman Ransford?
Yes, my question is, were the applicants who did not turn in their thing on time, were they given notice that, okay, even though it's too late, so you can't turn it in, or were they still allowed to turn in their resume?
I don't know how anything was communicated to them, but they turned it in late.
They were allowed to turn it in, but with the understanding that you all may or may not accept.
Any other questions?
So it's up to us at this point to accept or not to accept?
Yeah, that's what the attorney said.
Oh.
Councilman Perez?
That's the point that I just wanted to clarify. I'm not arguing that we shouldn't be doing what we're doing. I can support what we're doing. I just, being here 2 years, I never had actually gone through the process of saying, okay, there's a deadline and this is the way we do it. So I just wanted, it was a point of clarity. Are we saying that we have to choose from these? And it was, I didn't want to be misunderstood as to say I'm arguing the other point. I want to be clear as we move forward. Councilwoman Orange did a fantastic job of explaining how we got here and the way we do it. And I accept that in its entirety.
Any other questions? My intake on the matter is that I think that the secretary of those boards should be informing their members, hey, your board appointment is about to expire. If you want the council to reassign you, you need to talk to them. The boards have secretary. Melida, if you could please mark those boards that we have to to fill those spots. If we can know by October, so we can let the board members that we put on these boards, we let them know, hey, your board appointment's about to end. You need to reapply if you want, if you're interested. I think it's just been a miscommunication. We have another council member that sat on the board, but he didn't know his board appointment was going to be up in December. So I think it's just a lack of communication that's going on with the board secretary, which they sit on. Then also, we could have a hand on it also. If it's our board appointment, our secretary should have let us know, hey, you got these board members that's going to be up and they need to reapply. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes.
So, if so, according to attorney, if we want to change from voting for those 2 people that already put their resume in on time opposed to the other ones, how do we do that?
We have to finish this.
We have to call back in to her? Or did she take the number that we gave her from today?
Councilman, there's a,
Motion.
in response to your question, there's a motion on the floor, as I understand it, to appoint 2 specific people out of the 4 people that applied.
Right.
Apart from the timeliness the application, we would dispose of that particular motion in some
Okay.
fashion.
And then bring up another
If
one.
a member of the council wishes to have other people consider, they would then make that motion.
So in other words,
We would discuss and vote on that.
if they want to add those other two, you have to make a motion on adding those other two.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Any other questions? See no questions, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
No,
Winfield,
Yes.
Orange. Yes. Ransomfer,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Urban Enterprise Business.
Mr. Buscemi,
Yes,
did you receive that letter?
I did.
Can you come up to the podium? Yes. Did you read through this letter?
I did. Mr. President and members of the council, each council member may have received a January 22, 2020 letter with respect to the Urban Enterprise Association and its board and the enterprise zone specifically. And the letter, among other things, states that pursuant to Indiana Code 5-28-15-10C, and the letter then cites specific wording from that specific state statute, that the enterprise zone was not timely extended for the 1 year by the council because the council took action approving the resolution on December 23rd. You'll recall, for the new members, the mayor's pocket veto was overridden on that date. The council approved the resolution on December 23rd, and at the meeting, your first meeting on January 13, the veto was overridden. The author of the letter takes the position that the enterprise zone was not timely extended because the final action took place in January of 2020 and not before December 31st. However, I respectfully disagree with the opinion that's provided in the letter because the specific section cited, 5-28-15-10C, merely states that if an enterprise zone is going to be continued, as you intended at your last meeting, to continue it for a 1 year period of time, that the council must adopt a resolution that continues it, and in this case, you continued it for a 1 year period of time. The section cited by the author of this letter doesn't say that there's a deadline of December 31 for the council to take that action. So, Mr. President, members of the council, it's my opinion that you have completed all steps necessary as the legislative body, as the city council, to continue the enterprise zone. However, it appears that the author of the letter, who is the legal advisor for the enterprise zone, has a different opinion. What's before you tonight on your board appointments, as I understand it, is an appointment to their board. Is that correct?
Correct.
And this would be the board of the East Chicago Urban Enterprise Association, Inc. I think the council, if it's your desire to keep that entity, the board, functioning, you should proceed and make the appointment as you desire from among whomever the applicants were, and I don't know who those particular applicants were, or if there was any deadline issue on with respect to that batch or not.
There were any questions for Mr. Buscemi? There are no questions.
I don't know. I don't have any names. I didn't get anything.
The two people that put in for the business section was Ms. Bolaños as a business owner. The second person is a council appointment, which Mr. Perez filed for.
Oh, okay.
That I understand, Vivian Aurelida, there was nobody that signed up,
No, just Devin.
and the email went out to every council member.
Oh, just, yeah, I got that one.
Any questions? Seeing that there were the only two that apply, they'll sit on that board. Clerk, any ordinances on first reading?
Yes, ordinance 20-0001, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland, appropriation ordinance, unsafe building fund, 0241, light elimination program.
Is there a motion that passes?
Is someone here to represent this?
Councilman
Got a
Hill?
motion? Okay.
It's got to be a motion to hear this first before he
So
gets
move.
up to... Is it first? Is there a second?
Second.
There's a first and there's a second. I see there's Jane Portelong here for the building department. You come up to the podium.
James Portalatin, Building Commissioner. This is a request for an appropriation ordinance for the total amount of $628,000. As you may recall, in 2018, there was some resolutions to obtain a loan for $350,000 that was paid back. There was a request last year of resolutions on June 10th, 2019 for $150,000, August 26th for $100,000, for the total being $250,000, which was extended December to be paid back in June 30th. Since then, all the funds have been depleted from our hardest hit. So I'm requesting $628,000, which is the remaining balance that we have on the hardest hit program is $628,071.39. So from our grant. And so I wanted to just make it plain and simple, $628,000.
Yes.
May I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
James, I'm a little confused. I thought that we did the loans last year in Fund 219, which is the building demolition fund. And this ordinance says Fund 241, which is the unsafe building fund. Are we using the right fund?
Yes, I'm requesting it to be under the Safe Building Fund. The hardest hit fund, the way it is right now, we have, whenever we do a claim to the state, then that money gets transferred. But the state's taking too long. Right now, I have over $500,000 worth of claims at the state. So I don't see us receiving that money in time for us to continue to, take advantage, full advantage of the demolitions that this year. This is the last year that the program is in effect, and so this would allow me to just roll with it to the end.
Councilman Perez?
So the 628 is going to be used for the initial demolition? Is that what you're telling me?
628 is the remaining balance that I have in the hardest hit fund.
That you have in the hardest hit fund?
Correct.
That you want to move over to use
For hardest hit still.
for hardest hit still?
Yes.
I'm lost a little bit.
Yeah, I am too.
My financial consultant's lost a little bit. Can you help us out?
Trouble for
okay.
talking to the mic. Is this on?
Okay, I could clarify it. The city was awarded from round one and round two a total of $2,401,000. Total that has been transferred to the city, meaning we've demoed, reclaimed, and we've been able to recoup the money, has been $1,268,695.02. Total in claims that have not been approved are 36 claims for a total of $504,233.59, meaning that my balance with the hardest hit from the total of the 2.4 million that was given is $628,071.39. And that explains why I would like to get this amount of $628,000 to take full advantage as much as I can. Will I be able to? I don't know, but I will do my best to take full advantage of the grant.
Councilman Hill?
Do you have now this is gonna be under the demolition program,
This is
right?
going to be
Do you have a list of homes that you're gonna be demolishing this summer? Because you know, I always communicated with you about my 3rd district and several homes that need to be demolished, especially that one on Melville next door to Friendship Baptist Church. We talked about that for almost a year and a half. And I know, like we talked about the one on Vernon Street, but you told me how the funds was coming in, which it was taken down. So now, if I agree for you to have this, I want to know how many homes in my district going to be torn down with this money?
There are homes with the hardest hit. There's restrictions as far as a program partner. Department of Redevelopment or a homeowner would have to become a program partner. If the homeowners are nowhere to be found, they would not be under hardest hit. They would just be under regular unsafe building fund. It would be a different demolition, but it would not be through hardest hit.
Well, you know the ones I've always talked to you about are
Yes.
hardest hit and unsafe and everything. So I would like them down.
Oh yeah, we're working on
Okay.
all that for sure.
Councilman Ransford?
So this is part of a grant that was awarded to the city, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you're just essentially just asking for the remainder balance of
Correct.
within that
Ahead of time.
ahead of time.
Yes.
Versus, now I noticed you said something as far as once the state is taking long to reimburse those funds. So if we're giving it ahead of time, once you receive that funds from the state, is that going to be reimbursed to the?
Yes. Whatever we, the deadline for claims would be November 1st of this year.
Councilman Perez?
Steve, how much did they, are up to date today? Do they still owe us the 250,000?
They do.
So now you would be owing us
800.
$878,000.
This is appropriation, not a loan. This 620 is not a loan, correct?
Well, I don't know, because you're gonna get reimbursed, right?
Sure.
So when you get reimbursed, you're not gonna send that money back?
Yeah. Well, the 628,000 will be new that I would be reimbursed. There's already 500,000 that will pay off the 250 that is owed.
Can you just tell us one more time why you're using a different fund? That might be what's confusing us all. Where you normally have been using the building demolition fund?
The reason is because they take so long, and our contractors are able to demolish faster than we're able to claim that money and receive it. So this puts a stoppage on my contractors. If I'm not able to pay them through the hardest hit, this would allow us to demolish without having any trouble. We just could, it's a lot quicker.
Councilman?
No, I think I get it. So you're basically asking us money to put in a different fund, because you can't put it into the hardest hit because you got to get that reimbursed.
If I request another loan, it would just be a separate account. I have to continue to do the process that I'm doing, which I'm going to do. It's just that I'd rather not wait for the funds to come in. I'd rather just go ahead and do it, which I know the fund eventually will come to reimburse all this.
And you'll pay us back this
Correct.
628.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other Councilman Perez?
Yeah, the fact that it's going to a different fund is what raises the red flags, right? Because the hardest hit fund is designed to make you do X, Y, and Z before you can get your reimbursement, right? So everything is done correctly by the specs that the state gave you.
Correct.
If anything goes wrong, then you don't get the reimbursement.
Correct.
So to me, it seems like 628 is a huge ask when we've already got 250 out there that we fronted you to operate your hardest hit fund. So that 250, you're talking, what is the average demolition? About 20 grand? About 20 grand. So think about how many demolitions you get to tear down, process, and send through with all the loans that we've given you, and now to ask for 628 to me, with what we're getting here in terms of explanation, isn't very clear. It's not. Steve,
I'm going to venture, if it's okay, Mr. President, I'm going to venture a guess that James is running into a little bit of a bureaucratic snag. That the Controller's Office probably also doesn't want to continue spending money out of the fund that's already upside down, the Hardison Fund. And so he's approaching you to get the authority to spend money he's already been granted. Don't have it yet. He's been granted it in another fund that has clean hands while he waits for the hardest hit fund to get caught up.
Correct.
Common sense way of saying that?
Yes.
I think there may be a bit of a bureaucratic snag.
So where's the 628 coming from?
The state of Indiana, I believe.
State.
It's more money that we'd have to submit.
It's the remaining balance. And so in speaking to Rihanna Binder, that is the director of IHCDA, I said, will I be able to use this fund and have that where I could pay the contractors while I wait? And she said that it was okay. So I got the approval from IHCDA.
Gotcha. So they're going to send you the 628 if we approve this.
Eventually, yes, when I claim it. Correct.
From what fund? Is my
Right.
question.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
what fund is the 628 going to go tomorrow into the?
That's,
There is no such thing, Councilman. Correct me if I'm wrong, James. There's a little bit of money laying in this fund, not very much. It never gets much money because it gets landlord registration, so very
Correct.
little money comes into this fund. He has just enough to pay some bills and do some demolitions and submit to the state to get some more grant reimbursements. The problem is, I'm assuming the Controller's Office would prefer to not have the old Hardison Fund get deeper and deeper and deeper into the red. So this is a fund that at least has some money in it. Not much, does not have 628 in it. It's owed 628 if it does that much demolition.
Councilman
I
Ransford?
don't think that answers the question. So if we approve this, where would those funds come from to pay the contractors?
right now you're doing an appropriation of ordinance, so there'll be city funds that would pay the contractor while we wait for reimbursement from the state.
So city funds from,
Yes.
This fund could go negative. It doesn't have that much in it. It could go negative. A lot of grant funds go negative while they wait for reimbursement.
what he's saying.
Because this fund sits in a checking account with 100 other funds. So there are grant funds that go negative on a regular basis while they wait for reimbursement.
And that's my point.
Okay.
We approve this, we're giving him permission to go negative in that fund till he gets his reimbursement,
In theory, yes.
in theory. So, in actuality, that money's gotta come from somewhere when he goes to pay that, and we don't know from where. It can come again from police and fire.
It's not being
Theoretically.
It's not being taken from anybody. It's being taken from your cash balance. You're basically loaning it to yourself.
I understand that, but we're not being told you're taking the 628 from Fund XYZ. We're basically are taking the fund from a fund that will go into negative. It'll go into negative. I don't know how to prove something that it's okay to go into negative when we have a certain.
So I'm not a policy setter, you guys are, but grants should be appropriated. The State Board of Accounts wants grants appropriated. And if you're in a reimbursement grant, you're going to go negative while you wait for your money to come back from the state. So it is a very regular occurrence for a grant fund to go negative while it's waiting for money to come back from the state. That doesn't mean that you should make one decision or the other, but it is a very regular occurrence.
Okay. Even at this large amount,
Yes.
you would think it's, okay.
Unless you think that the department is lying to you and they will not get the dollars from the state. It sounds like this has been approved.
No, I don't think that at all. I think that. Thank you so much.
Councilman Hill?
James, but
Yes.
what's the time frame for us to receive that money from the state?
So the last claims that can be submitted are November 1st. Sometimes I could say truthfully, this could be 2 or 3 months after that because they take, so many claims have been submitted. Like, for example, I've submitted some in September of last year that I'm waiting for. So it will take some time, but will they approve it? Yeah, let's give it till March of the following year.
think hopefully not a whole year, that's what I'm saying.
No, but it's just quite a substantial amount of demos and quite a substantial amount of cities that are participating in this grant as well. So it's not just East Chicago.
Any other questions?
I'd like to table the motion so I can get some more information. I'd like to sit with James and go over this because I'm still lost. You're gonna go into a negative, and then he's saying that when he gets the reimbursement, he doesn't pay that back to the city, wherever that 628 came from. And that's where I'm lost. So I make a motion, we table this.
May I?
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing no questions on the motion, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
No.
Hill,
No,
Winfield,
Yes.
Orange,
No.
Ransford,
No.
Perez,
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Madam Clerk, are you showing 4-4? Motion does not pass.
Motion no payments. All right, James, I have, any other questions for James? Councilman Orange?
I would, Councilman Perez, maybe pass it on the first reading and then put it in committee. I think we could do that, and then that way you can get your answers.
Councilwoman Orange, the motion was for first reading. Motion. Any other questions? James, what's the timeline on this? Is there a timeline?
Like I said, the hardest hit, the timeline for me to send the last claim is November 1st.
No, I'm talking about as us as passing this ordinance.
Obviously, anytime that this would allow me to move forward. Right now, I'm in a standstill. So if I don't get this, it'll just wait. It'll put me a little bit behind, but
Yeah, I know you came before us in December, correct? Why you didn't come and present this with us last year in December, and why wait in a month later?
because I really thought that I was going to get the money back from the state sooner than we had submitted, over 500,000 worth of claims to the state. So I was believing that we were going to receive enough to continue, but evidently that's not the case.
Also, James, can you give a list of upcoming demolitions to each councilman, especially the district councilman, and the councilman at large also, so they know what this is going to affect in their neighborhoods and their district?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winfield?
James, I was at a council meeting last year, at the end of the year, when you had came back a couple of times. I was at several, and you asked for more money, and I believe they had asked, was this the last time, was this going to hold you over? You told them yes. So what you did receive at the end of the year, that's not going to hold you?
No,
I mean, because
we
have a
depleted that fund.
Because we have our next meeting at the beginning of February, so that's going to throw you back?
Right now, I don't have any funds in the hardest hit account to be able to,
Because I'm just concerned because our financial advisor was concerned, and when I look at him and he's not understanding, we really need to get a good.
See, and that's what I wanted to clarify. A hardest hit account cannot go in red. The hardest hit account. But I am able to get, that's why we're doing the unsafe building fund. Where that money's coming, whether it's going to be gaming money or whatever it's going to be given to the building department for the unsafe fund, that I'm not aware of where Mr. Bennett will be obtaining that portion. What I can tell you is that the hardest hit account cannot be in red. That's why we can't continue on. We're limited to when we receive the money. So this would help us not have to spend $250, put it there, come back to you 2 months later, how many times I've done that, and say, I don't have enough money yet. This will allow me to have the money up front, finish it off, and then deal with the state.
Is this really enough money? Because like I said, I was at several meetings when you kept coming back for more. They kept saying you came before.
This is all I could ask for, because this is all that there is left in the hardest hit. This is all that would be reimbursable. Everything else would be just under unsafe. It will not be under hardest hit because I would be tapped out.
Any other questions? James, also, you said this is the end of it, just the last year for that?
They said last year was the last year, and they extended it.
Because I remember you saying that.
So, if they extend it again, even though, unless they award us more money, I'm limited to this, unless there's another award, which I don't believe, but hopefully there is. I mean, it's been a blessing
Yes,
to the
sir.
city.
Any other? Yes. Mr. Dunn.
Typically, on an additional appropriation, there will need to be a public hearing. So whether you adopt this on first reading and send it to committee, and eventually it's coming back to you for both a public hearing and a second and third reading.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Any other questions? Any other questions? Roll call?
Gonzalez? No. Franciski?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Winfield?
Yes.
Orange?
Yes.
Ransford?
Yes.
Perez?
Nope.
Garcia?
No. Any ordinance on second reading?
No.
Any? Oh, yes. Did that pass, clerk?
On first reading.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Orange to put it in committee. Finance.
So moved.
There's a second. Any question?
I'm new. What do you mean by the committee? Put it in the what?
We have a finance committee that will review it
Oh, okay.
and then report to the council.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call?
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Franciski?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Winfield?
Yes.
Orange?
Yes.
Ransford?
Yes.
Perez?
Yes.
Garcia?
Yes. Clerk, any ordinance on second reading?
No.
Any ordinance on third reading?
No.
Any resolutions?
No.
Old business, any old business council has? Not hearing no old business. Any new business? Councilwoman Winfield?
Yes, I would just like to announce, if I can, is this the time I can announce?
Yes.
That on February 4th, I will have a join the conversation, meet and greet with the 4th District residents, and just inviting everyone out to come to the East Chicago Main Library at 2401 East Columbus Drive, 5:30 to 7 p.m.
Councilwoman Winfield, the date?
February 4th, it's a Tuesday, February 4th.
Thank you.
Also, I had one other, if I can, I don't know, put this in motion. I have noticed since at the end of 2019 to 2020, we have lost several past employees that worked here for years. And I've been to many funerals, and I've never heard anything a resolution come from the city council. And I would like to ask if we could start sending resolutions to our past employees that have passed away. Some of you all have been on the council for a long time, so you know a lot of the employees that have passed away. If we could just send a condolence or a resolution to those families, because they did work here for some over 20, 30 years, and nothing has ever been sent.
Any other new business?
Mr. Councilman.
Councilman
Mention this
Hill?
here that we received this in our packet, and I'm not clear on what it is, but you all want our signature about signing something for, hold on just a minute. What is it? Yeah, I was looking for the top cover of it. Yeah, this, Uniform Conflict of Interest Disclosure Statement. What
Attorney Buscemi?
is that?
That's a annual statement that elected officials file with the state of Indiana. And actually, if it is completed and signed by council members, then Vivian will file it via the state portal, the electronic portal. And it simply identifies that your sole interest with the city of East Chicago receiving your salary as an elected council member, and you're receiving the salary in return for services that you provide to your constituents as an elected official.
Okay.
And you're just disclosing that salary on the form to the state, and it's done with those annual disclosure forms. The only exception would be if any member of the council, separate from their salary for their services as an elected official, has some particular contract through your company or through yourself with the city. You would specifically list that contract as an additional item of interest. But assuming that's not the case, you're simply disclosing the fact that you earn a salary for services rendered.
Okay.
And it is a paperwork requirement of the state of New York.
All right, thank you.
Any other new business? I have one. Last week I called a couple of department heads, and they informed me that I have to call the chief of staff. I guess it's a new procedure. I told the department head I'm not calling the chief of staff. What's worked in the past. If I had any issues or any residents had any issues, they informed me. I called that department, and 10 times out of 10 times it gets taken care of. I don't know why this new procedure is being brought forth. We never had any issues of calling the department and getting things done for the residents. So I expected some type of communication from the mayor or Sandra to be here to communicate that. But if you send the chief of staff a letter to be at our next meeting, if that's the case, we need that communicated to us. But I'm gonna continue calling the department heads because we're the legislative body of this city. We're elected by the people of this city to represent them when things go wrong, and there should be no problem us calling those departments to get anything clarified. Like I said before, 10 out of 10 times things are taken care of by the department heads. Also, Attorney Buscemi, if you got, last month I also asked the director of Park Department to give me a list of contractors that did the Christmas lights. I haven't got nothing. If you could send a letter so I can get that information. Also, Attorney Buscemi, I would like a list of contractors that cut grass in the city and sanitary side. Any other new business? Councilman Hill?
Yes, Attorney, and piggybacking off of President Garcia about those lights, can we find out the cost of those lights? 'Cause they were on the second week of November into the second week of January, and I'd like to know the cost of all of that.
The operating costs,
Yes,
separate from the whatever.
I'm quite sure it should be, yeah. Having those lights on for that extended period of time. Because I feel we have a tree lighting ceremony, all the lights should come on when the tree light come on. So, and I've been around here 6 years, I haven't seen them many lights in the city in a long time, although they looked pretty, but I'm quite sure they cost the taxpayers a nice dime.
Any other new business? Any other new business? Not hearing none. We're going to go to public expression, but before we go to public expression, I'd like to make some comments. I would like to address our audience and council members for the good order. There were some public comments and changes that went wrong at our last council meeting. The First Amendment to the Constitution guarantees freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is very powerful, but it comes with responsibilities. Speech must be used for truth and informing the public on issues. It should not be used for name-calling and lies.
The First Amendment also protects the right of people to peacefully assemble. The East Chicago firefighters has exercised that right, and I applaud them for their efforts. Going forward, let's focus on the issues and the truth. Let's work together to resolve differences. Let's show respect for the opinion of others. I would like to end these remarks with an important quotation from Dr. Martin Luther King, who once said, "Let no man or woman pull you low enough to hate them." So, going to our first one, it'd be John Nowak Narcy.
Good afternoon, Council. My name's John Narcy. I was one of the 5 tow companies that towed for the city of East Chicago. And on January 9th, 2020, I towed a 2011 Nissan Altima. On January 14th, I also towed a 2007 Grand Marquis. Both of them vehicles were recovered theft vehicles. On Tuesday, January 21st, I received a call from Deputy Chief Jose Rivera. He advised me that there was somebody in there to get a release for the vehicle, and the towing and storage charges was like $1,100. I said, well, which vehicle was it for? He said he didn't know, he'll get back to me. So later, he called me back, and he said it was the 2011 Nissan, and it was stolen. And he advised me that we're not supposed to charge the customers when their cars get stolen because they're victims. And I advised him that isn't the way it's been working for the last 50 years. And he said, yes, it is. He says, let me get back to the chief. So he called me back again, and he says, I'm to release it with no charges on it. And I said, well, what about the other vehicle that I have that was recovered theft? He said, we're not talking about that one. So during that time, he says to me, and when the owner came to pick up the car, he says to me, it's not your fault, it's not my fault. He said, I talked to Deputy Chief Rivera, and he told me that they effed up in the police department. And I said, how's that? He said that Lieutenant Wilder forgot to notify them in a timely manner. That's not my problem, okay? That it sat there by me. Then I called Rivera up and I said, hey, why is this? I got to take the hit for this if you guys effed up in your police department. So he says, just release the car and they ain't paying no towing and no storage. I said, it ain't happening, ain't leaving. So when the customer came back, I said, you're a Roxana resident? You live in East Chicago? Yes. I said, I'll tell you what, we'll do a happy medium. We'll make it $550. He said, okay. He said, what should I do with my other $550? I said, I'll write on my receipt, due to the effed up job in the police department, go and collect your money from City Hall. So that's what he did. Come Friday, Chief Rivera calls me up, tells me that it's unprofessional what I did. The professionalism is in that police department. If you can't get anybody competent to do their job, they shouldn't be in there. Why should I get taken out of my pocket for what I do? I did my work, okay? The other people paid for their car, had no problem paying for it. Now, January 17th, I received a certified letter. I sold a car to an individual.
30 seconds.
Okay? This is the car that I sold. I got a letter from Trevino, certified letter from Trevino's Towing. The car that I sold, the mother let her son use it to deliver pizza. While he's delivering pizzas in East Chicago, his car got stolen. While he was making his police report, the car got in a crash on Klein Avenue and Chicago Avenue. Since I'm the lien holder, now I'm the victim. But I got to pay to get that car out of Trevino's. Is that right? That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Narcy. Dave Mata.
Good evening, Council. Dave Mata, President, Local 365. Real quick, just want to thank you, council members, again for voting the way you did last council meeting. We really appreciate your efforts to restore our shifts and to get Engine 4 back in service. So thank you again for that, for all you've done. I just want to give a quick status on Engine 4 and as regards to District 3 and some of District 4. 2 weeks ago, we had a civil service meeting prior to the council meeting. And the subject in that civil service meeting was in regards to Engine 4 being taken out and some of the assistant chief duties and stuff. One of the commissioners, Commissioner Wayne McCulley, he asked Chief Cerner during that meeting why Engine 4 was taken out of service. So Chief Cerner replied that the calls are down in that territory, and he also said that the population has changed there. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that seems to me that the safety of the people in District 3 and partial District 4 is less than everybody else in the city. That's why he's doing it. It's a little unacceptable if you ask me.
2 minutes left.
You got the Carmelite home there that houses a lot of kids there. You got a lot of elderly people out there in that district. You got Lake County Rehab. You got businesses out there. Now you got a potential staging area for some chemical coke, something that might be out there. I think it's unacceptable. To make matters a little worse, Chief Cerna just ordered the assistant chiefs that if they can't get overtime, they are to take the rescue out of service. As we know, the rescue and the truck are both at Station 4 now. So if he can't fulfill the overtime needs, he's ordering the assistant chiefs not to order anybody, which that goes against Executive Order number 20-01, which states in one of the paragraphs by the mayor, I further order the chief of the fire department to ensure proper staffing of the department through the use of overtime or other means. So by him not ordering overtime to fulfill those staffing needs, he's kind of breaking that ordinance. So I think that's an issue that needs to be addressed.
Minute left.
2 weeks ago, I left on a quote from a council meeting from 2000 by Anthony Copeland. He left on the issue of our staffing numbers for the whole department as a whole. They were arguing 85 was too low. So I'm going to leave you with another quote. This meeting happened September 11, 2000, just 2 weeks after that last meeting that I mentioned. Firefighter came up here to plead to the council. He stated he was here on behalf of the firefighters, the union representative, and the membership and their families.
30 seconds.
And I quote, I'm here to protest our city budget. They cut our men from 100 to 85. I'm going to skip a few. It says that there's been a lack of communication between the department and the city. They've seen progress in the town, Washington Square, Kenny Lofton Lane, Harris Hotel. We have been down to 19 men per day from 23 men per day. We need more men. We are jeopardizing the citizens of East Chicago. We have 68 men right now total on the fire department. 68 people, we are down to 14 guys per shift. He was arguing 19 men, we're down to 14. That came from Anthony Cerno.
3 minutes.
Thank you.
Joe Dragovich.
Okay, my issues with the cleaning up of Zone 1 in the USS Led Superfund site. The mayor has changed his mind from residential to commercial, so he's going to make the cleanup harder and worse. If you look at this blue sheet I handed some of you people, you'll notice there are several options which the EPA could take to clean up Zone 1 with the housing project in it. 4A, 4B, and 4D. 4B would be the one 2 feet, which they would do right now if you kept it residential. To my opinion, if you went to commercial, they'd probably go with 4A, which will only give you 1 foot of cleanup of the soil in Zone 1. The group and the attorneys that represent us are going for 4D. Been working on that for 3 years, trying to get those people to go to 4D. If you change from residential to commercial, all that work goes for naught. Simple as that. And there's a couple articles I would like you to look up when you guys get a chance. From a Lauren Cross, who works for Hammond Times. The name of the article is EC Mayor to sell West Calumet site. You can read that and see what you come up with that. To me, again, his reasoning to me doesn't make any sense. It seems like he's arguing for the worst cleanup because he keeps saying there's so many obstacles because he can't put the housing in there without them obstacles. You guys own the property. I think you can push them to get the cleanup that you wanted, because there was housing there. And if I remember talking to the attorneys that were there, that was one of the principal things they were trying to use to get them to go with 4D, the maximum cleanup. So if you change it from residential to commercial, their main argument goes nowhere, and you end up with the worst cleanup you could possibly have over there. It gets that complicated. Then another one, article from Lauren Cross, also from Northwest Indiana Times, infant mortality, November 25th, 2019. She claims that 46312, which is my zip code, let's see, how did she actually write that, is one of the worst, I guess, worst in this area as far as infant mortality, and that's the zone I live in. So you guys, like I said, you guys have been very good about the cleanup. You did the water line, that was good. You told people to get out of zone 1, that was also good. You need to keep that residential, so you can try to get the best cleanup you can out of there. It's not that hard. You got nothing to lose. All you can end up is, well, you get, it's a rush job to get the commercial in there.
10 seconds.
Wait a little bit, and you'll maybe get the best cleanup you can. You rush it, you might end up with a garbage job. You have trouble down the line, they ain't gonna come back and fix it, because they're gonna figure they're done with it. This company changes their mind, so they don't want it there, and you guys, well, we'll put housing there. You won't be able to do it because the cleanup won't be right. And they ain't coming back.
3 minutes.
So that's all I can say. Stick with that residential, don't change your mind. You're almost at the finish line. EPA's pulling for 4B and 4D. Don't change your mind now.
3 minutes are up, sir.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Next person is Maritza Lopez.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. I'm just going to follow through on what Joe said. As a resident of the Superfund site in East Calumet, and also part of the CAG, I would let you know, as part of the fight, the December 4th, 2018 letter that the mayor wrote, he was very specific, the quote, he stated there that he wanted Plan 4D cleanup to EPA in that letter. And he stated in that letter, per quote, and I'll be happy to make copies and give it to every council member on that, he stated and quoted that since 2012, he's been informing EPA that he wants the whole Superfund cleaned up to native sand. So West Calumet itself, native sand means taking it down and removing even part of the lead refinery that's still buried there. It is contaminating Zone 2 in the groundwater. We have the rehab center. The EPA still hasn't touched the groundwater situation. We have a lot of seepage coming into our homes that's contaminated. EPA just released 2 wells information, one on 151st that shows high contamination in Zone 2, which is Calumet, and off of Grisali, which is also part of Zone 2 that they consider, well, actually Zone 3 on their breakup, but that's part of the situation. The other portion now is we got Petco coming in. Guess what? Those trains have been coming down the tracks already from BP. I live 5 houses away. I had a friend that took pictures of the trains in the fall.
1 minute left.
So Canadian Rail has been carrying Petco, the dust from BP that contaminates us. So you cannot let profit over people's lives take control. This is genocide. They have been killing us. Do you know the amount of people that have died in Calumet, in West Calumet, from cardio problems, having arthritis very young, from cancers? We do, because we talk to each other from very young. So we need help. No one has looked out for us. No one. But these big companies are making money.
15 seconds.
So we need help. We cannot allow West Calumet to become industrial till EPA gets the money from the big companies to clean out West Calumet correctly, to Plan 4D, and then whatever needs to be done is correctly to protect the people from Zone 2 and us, because the water flows east-north, which means all the way to the lake.
Thank you. Any other public comments, clerk? None? Is there a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Roll call?
Gonzalez? Yes. Franceschi?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Linville?
Yes.
Orange? Yes. Christopher?
Yes.
Perez? Yes. Garcia?
Yes. Meeting adjourned.